Welcome to Magic Twisting with Reality, and in this both performance and tutorial video I'll be showing you the trick known as 2 for 2, which is a very good trick. It is not beginners because it is beginners because there's very little sleight of hand involved, which is why it's really good, and it's also very powerful. It looks absolutely brilliant. It looks as though that there should be a lot of sleight of hand involved, but there really isn't. It is such a good trick. It does require a very slight setup, but I'll be getting into that in the second half for the tutorial half. But for the first half I should be doing the performance, so if you want you can just watch that and then you can stop watching, it's perfectly fine. Or you can watch the tutorial, which will be in the same video. So let's get to it. Okay, so this is the performance. Okay, so for this trick what I'm going to be using is 2 cards, okay, in this case the 2 queens, the 2 red queens actually. They are ordinary cards, they can actually be inspected, so you can go through them, they are ordinary cards. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 queens, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one on top of the deck, face up, just here, just like this. What I'm going to take the other queen and put her face down just on top, just like that. Okay, now it's a very simple move, okay, watch. If I just do that, you see that instantly, in that instant, the queen actually changed into the ace of diamonds. Now that's pretty cool. But what if even this queen was to also turn into the 8 of hearts, now leaving me with no queens? And it is a normal deck as well, no gimmick cards involved, no jokers, no special double back cards or anything like that. You can do it with an ordinary deck. It's pretty good. You see it's got quite a nice effect there. I should probably show you actually ordinary aces. And they were ordinary queens. So that's the performance. So now let's get on to the tutorial. Okay, this is the tutorial. So, like I said, it does require a very slow setup, virtually nothing. You need 2 of any kind. I like using the 2 red queens and the 2 aces, mostly just because they're very similar colour-wise. The corners, of course, you know, the diamonds and hearts, very similar. Except the major difference is you've got this whole big picture in the middle here, and there's minimal things there, just the diamond in the middle. So that's a big contrast when that changes to that. Very big contrast. And that's why I like it. I like the aces as well. I love the hearts and diamonds. That's just personal preference. You can use the black cards, but I personally like these 2 cards. I think they fit well together. And what you do is the one which you want the cards to be changed into, so in my case it goes from queen to ace, so the ace goes on the bottom, and what I mean by that is I put it on top of the deck first. You want one of the aces face up, one of the other ace face down. So on top of the deck you've just got that face up, face down, and that's pretty much it. These 2 queens you can reveal however you want. They can be in the deck. You can turn over the deck and go through, take out the 2 queens. Make sure not to flash the face down card at the end. You don't want them to see that, so just sort of keep that in. Make sure it's not at the end so you can sort of skip that area. Take out the 2 queens. I did a move which is very similar pattern, so you've got this sort of pattern going on where you sort of show the 2 queens. Be careful not to flash the second card as well, so, because you don't want to show the ace, because if they see the ace, then of course that sort of ruins the effect. So you show the 2 queens, and you can ask to inspect them, to look through it. And what you want is you want a break underneath the 2 aces, so underneath the face-up ace. You can do it however way you want. You can do a pinky count, and how you do that, this is just a brief sort of overview, is you apply pressure to all sides of the deck, push down on this corner with your little finger, and just count 2 cards. And then just, now you've got that break there underneath the top 2 cards. You can just sort of put it to the side really quickly and just sort of count off 2 cards, so you can see 2 cards there and just get that break there just like that. You can push off very slightly until you see 2 cards. Of course, very quickly like that. They're not going to see, if you just sort of keep the angle right, all they'll see is white, and they won't sort of think in their head that that's a face-up ace. They'll just sort of see that as a border in their mind, because they'll be looking at the queens. Or you can just sort of just feel for 2 cards, count 2 cards, anything you want really. Just make sure not to flash the ace in the second position. So I like the pinky count. You can just get the break under 2 cards very easily. And once you've got that break, you want to take the queens back and put both of the queens on top of the deck. So you've now got 4 cards above that break. The 2 aces, then the 2 queens. And now what you want to do is put your thumb against that break, against your little finger, and come across with your, the middle finger of your other hand, and go and put it in the opposite corner. So now you're holding it like this, very much like the snap change. And once you're holding these 4 cards, what you want to do is you want to tilt your left hand very slightly, or your right hand very slightly, just so that your middle finger and thumb are aligned parallel with the side of the deck. So it's just like that. So it goes from here to here. And what you want to do is come across with your thumb and just peel off the top queen. Make sure not to sort of push too hard and reveal the other cards here, because that can happen. So the best way to do that is just to align it parallel with the deck, come across with your thumb and peel it off parallel. So you want to move your thumb parallel, don't sort of move it down or anything like that, because it can be quite difficult. Move it parallel, slide it off easily, and you want to square it up with the deck, just like that. I like to apply a little bit of pressure as well to keep the cards together. And then what you want to do is just turn the queen over. You can come across with your first finger and just turn it over like that. I like to do a spin just to make it a bit more of sort of, just convince it that it's one card. So you'd sort of come across the first finger, spin it halfway, push down and carry on spinning it. So you've done a complete 360 revolution. And then with your first finger, then push back up on this corner and turn it back. So really, rather than just sort of doing that, you're doing it 360 and bringing it back. Okay, so really what you want to do is just turn it over. And now you want to do is place it so that the top of this card is about halfway down this queen. So just put it just here. Okay, so just halfway down the queen, halfway down the deck, and sort of make sure they're aligned, because you don't want to reveal there are multiple cards here. Just keep that line. You might just angle it sort of directly towards the spectator, because if you sort of do it sort of like that, they can sort of start to see a bit of thickness there, because it's meant to be one card, so any thickness can give it away. So you just want to angle it, or just sort of do it directly to them. Don't sort of do it like that or anything. Do it directly towards them. Keep that card nice and firm with these three fingers in your thumb, or with the back part of your thumb. And now really what you're doing, this is pretty much the move, is you're pushing all of these. You have three cards here. You have the two aces and the queen. You push them all, that whole block in, and then you just peel back the top card. So really what you're doing is you have the queen on the bottom and the two aces on the top. So get back into that, these three cards halfway down. So you're pushing the entire block of three cards in, just sticking your finger on the top and only peeling back the top. Don't peel back two or three, because they might flash the queen. Just push in the entire block and peel back the top card. You can say that both have changed. I like to say that one queen's turned into the other ace, and not only that, but the other queen turned into the second ace. And mostly because it's kind of cool how that first queen changes into the ace, but what really gets them is how this queen turns into the ace, because they've been staring at this back constantly. Like, this queen gets covered up. Like, if I show you again, this queen completely gets covered up and changes into an ace. So that sort of registers, oh, it was covered up, so in that moment he could have done a magical move or something. But this card they've been looking at the entire time, the whole back, and that changing into the ace, that's probably the one that will get them the most, I find. So I sort of do it separately, just go, that queen turned into the ace, they'll be amazed, and then show that even this one turned into the ace, and show it's just one card. And at that point, just take off both aces, making sure not to flash this queen. And then what you can do is you can sort of, how I spread out the cards, you do a block push. So you sort of, with your thumbs, push off a bunch of cards, about like 15 cards, 10 cards. That's about 5 cards minimum. And so push off a bunch of cards and then just start spreading out the cards, just to sort of hide and conceal the second card. And just go, yeah, it's a perfect normal deck of cards, no gimmick cards. Turn it over, you can spread through, so it's a completely shuffled deck. Make sure not to flash the end card. So you can sort of shuffle through, guys, shuffle deck, you know, you can turn it over, do the block push, and go no gimmick cards or anything like that. And they did genuinely turn into the two aces. And that's pretty much the trick. There's not much to it. Really the only sort of sneaky move is just getting that double lift earlier on. But like I said, the pin cap's not difficult, you just push down the whole corner and sort of just let go gently till you feel 2 cards. That takes a little bit of practice, but like I said, there's various ways you can get a double lift without showing the second card. So that's pretty much it. It's a nice easy trick. It's got a nice effect to it, how it's that instant change, and that changes. So yeah, thank you for watching. It's got a nice easy setup as well. It's not highly large or difficult to remember setup. Yeah, thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you next time.